Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Kindly respond in the chat box. Yes, am I audible?
Good evening, sir. And I got lot of messages from the sir. Could you please resolve it?
Uh, yes. Your voice is breaking now. Please speak it out again.
Sir, I got a lot of messages from your end, sir. I try to resolve it.
Lot of
Disturbance.
disturbance. Okay.
Yeah.
Now is that okay? Still you are facing any kind of disturbance from my voice?
A little bit noise is there, sir.
Is it clear up to now?
No, sir.
No. Okay. I will change the headset and then reconnect again.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Yes, Rajesh sir, is my voice audible now? Still you are facing any kind of disturbance?
Now also I'm getting, sir.
Now it's fine.
No, sir. Little bit
A bit of disturbance. I think it's not problem from the headset. This is from outside. So, are you able to follow the lecture now? Are you able to follow my instructions from my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's okay. So, what about the students? What about the attendance? So, is my voice clear up to now? And so, few of you guys have responded. Yes, it's now clear. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for responding. So, let me share my screen and we have to open the document. We already created a document, and what are the concepts we are covering. So, at the end of the session, we are placing that all the content in the document. So, so it is available in docs. So we discussed the text transform property, and we gave a task, right? We gave a task, so we have to design a website like this in responsive manner, and we discussed multi-column layout also. Oh, cursors, that's fine, and these are the concepts we discussed in the last session. So we discussed cursors. We have various kinds of cursors available. So the first one is pointer, that is the normal cursor, and progress means we can get the spinner after the mouse, and we are able to see help. Help means we can get the question mark symbol like that, and move, so we can get draggable symbol. Similarly, zoom in and zoom out. So we have various kinds of cursors available. And similarly, we discussed multi-column layout. So we can specify number of columns available, number of columns we gonna print by using column count, and we can give the width of the column. So we can apply column rule. So we have three properties: style, color, and width. So you can apply directly by using rule. The syntax for this is very similar to the property. So we used border 1px, that is width of the border. Similarly, we have type of the border and color of the border. We have various kinds of properties with the same kind of syntax like borders for this multi-column layout. Similar text transform. So have text transform property. So uppercase, capital, lowercase. So I think this is the last topic for CSS. Is there any other topics pending for today, or we can jump directly to the JavaScript programs? JavaScript. So any topics are pending? If any pending topics are there, please let me know. We will explain them also, or we can jump into directly JavaScript. So Mr. John shared you a document, the syllabus content. So in that we cleared a lot of lessons, and we did some kind of practices on various kinds of topics. I think almost done. We discussed about media queries, we discussed about flex layouts, all the stuff. Is there any pending topic available? Janardhan N. So 2D transform, 2D transmission. Yes. So day by day the count gets decreased. So I saw that 3 days back or 4 days back, I observed that the count is 70, nearly 80 persons are joined. But when I'm going to look into this now, so there are only 50 students are available, or 50 attendees are available. So if you want to get the certificate, the attendance is also plays a key role. So they're calculating the attendance also. Attendance as well as your marks criteria. Based on that only you can get the certificate. Okay. Everyone need to have nearly above 75% of attendance or 80% of attendance. So please kindly inform to all your friends, and yes. So I am able to see different kinds of messages. So those are 2D transmission. Yes, CSS animations. 2D. Okay. Animations. Okay. Sure. Definitely we will discuss about this, and after completion of this we will jump into the JavaScript part. So 2D transition and one another is missing. Please discuss. Okay. Definitely I will discuss about this 2D transmission. Yes, sure. Okay. So this is 2D not 2D transmission. This is 2D transform. So transform is 2D transform. This is not transmission, this is transform. Transform means we can transfer from one location to another location. We can change the location of a specific element. So that is called as transform. So we have various kinds of transforms available. We have to use these kind of functionalities if you want to work with the transform. So the first one is uh, transaction. So this is very important property, and we have to discuss a lot. This is another concept completely. So if you want to move an element from one position to another position, we have to use the transform, and the first property is transaction. So for this, we have to use a method that is translate. We have to use a method translate. So directly we can discuss the translate method. Translate. And if you want to rotate an element, you have to use rotate function. So rotate is another function. All right. So if you want to rotate an element, so we have to use rotate function. Similarly, we have skew. Skew means we can adjust from the backside of the element. We have to use skew property. We will discuss about this. So we have two directions in it. The first one is qx, that is horizontal direction, and the next one is skew y, that is vertical direction. All right. Similarly, we can increase the size of the specific element. So for that we have to use some kind of time consumption. So for that we have to use scale property. Again, this scale have two more kinds. Those are scale x. This is width. It provides the width of the device. That means horizontal width of the element, and that is horizontal. And the next one is scale y. That is height. That is vertical direction. And similarly, the combination of skew and scale, that is matrix. So we have these these functions for this transform. So first one is translate, rotate, skew, scale, and matrix. Let me zoom in. So first, matrix function. So these are different kinds of functions available for this transform property. Remember everyone, this is an advanced concept property for animation. So these are the different kinds in it. Hanuman sir, once check your internet connection. Present, okay. Sir, if you completed typing the code, please give some time to type. Yes. Yeah, definitely. So let me open the coding part first. Coding part first, and yes, that is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. So we already created a project in desktop environment. The project name is project, and the root file is index.html. We have a CSS file. So this is empty now, and we have a CSS file that is available in CSS folder. This is the folder structure we already created, right? So project, in the project we have a CSS folder and index.html, and in the CSS folder we have a style.css file. Clear. So let me create a division. I would like to create a division in the body section. So that is division. So I'm going to use a class name for this. That is class equals to, I'd like to use some kind of box. I would like to create a box. That's it. So I just created a class that is box. Div class equals to box. That's it. And now it's time to implement the box model for this division. Alright. So we already discussed the box model. Screen is not visible. Screen is not visible. Okay. Now is it visible to you now? Is my screen visible to you all? Yes. So I just created a division. Div class equals to box. That's it. I just created a division and I applied a class. The class name is box. That's it. So now tell me, if you want to create a box, what are the CSS properties we have to use? For creating a box, what are the properties we have to use? If you want to create a box, sir, in TD transforms, please discuss QX, QY also. Yes, I already mentioned, right? I already mentioned. If you observe the document, I already mentioned skew, we have skew X and skew Y. Similarly, in scale, we have scale X and scale Y. So we will discuss them. Definitely, we will discuss them. Yes. So Mahesh responded border, margin, and padding. So Venkat Reddy also responded. So margin and border. Yes. If you want to create a box, we have to use these three properties: border, margin, and padding. Sure. Let me use them here. I'm going to use the box. This is the class name. The first property is the width. We have to provide the width. I'm going to provide width as 200 px. Similarly, I'm going to use height, that is again 200 px. Clear. And we have to use a border. Border is 1 px solid, and this is the gray color. This we have is margin and margin. So margin, I'm going to use 1% for margin. Similarly, for padding, we have to use this again. All right. So if you want to apply the background color, we can apply that also. So I'm going to use background. I'm going to use blue color. I'm going to use just blue color. So remember everyone, we need not to use the color names directly. So we have to use the hash color codes instead of the color names. So it's better to use. So we already discussed, we can get the color names. So we have to use HTML color codes. HTML color codes. So from here we can select a customized color. So I'm going to use a color code. Yes, I'm going to use this color code, that is A569BD. We use that in this. So hash A5. So what is the color code? 69BD, right? 69 and BD. So I just used this background color. And if you want to apply the box shadow, you can apply that also. Box shadow, that is 0px, 8px, 8px, is the black color. Alright, 0px, 8px, 8px, minus 8px, and hash 000. So this is the box shadow. 0px, that means the right side we are not able to see any kind of shadow in the right side, and 8px is the bottom side shadow, and the next 8px is the blur ratio, and the minus 8px, this is the cubic ratio. So we already discussed about this, and the final one is shadow color, that is black color. So save this and execute in the browser once. So for executing that, we have to choose the project, and in that we have index.html. So we have to select it and open with the Chrome. Now we are able. We have margin and padding. We have the width property, and we used the shadow also. So now it's time to discuss the transform properties. So we already did a documentation. So the first one is translate. Yes, this translate is for moving the box from one position to another positions. Remember everyone, we have to use two kinds of ratios here. The first one is horizontal ratio, and the second one is vertical ratio. So we have to pass two parameters. The first one is x-axis, and the second one is y-axis. So we have to pass two parameters. The first one is x-axis and the second one is y-axis. Clear. So we have to pass three attributes, x-axis and y-axis. Alright. So it's better to change the color. Alright. So now I would like to translate this. I would like to move the element. So this is our element. So I'm going to apply the CSS. Those are, the first one is transform. This is the normal property we already know. Transform, and in that we have to use translate. Translate property. So we have to use two directions, x and y, or we can use translate x and translate y, both are same. So the first property is translate x. So translate x means we can move the element horizontally. For example, I am going to use 200px. So that means we can move the element 200px horizontally. Alright. Now I would like to use one parameter. If I am using one parameter, and let me save this and execute in the browser. Let me check what will happen. Just refresh, and now we are able to see it's moving horizontally. Similarly, I am going to use the second property. We already discussed. This is for height. That means this is for x-axis, y-axis. So I am going to use 200px again. The first one is for x-axis. The second one is for y-axis. 200px is x-axis. 200px is y-axis. This is horizontal and this is vertical. And save this and execute in the browser. Alright. Now we are able to see. So it is moving from 200px to right side and 200px to bottom side. Now if you want to print it reverse order, so we have to use minus values, negative values. I'm going to use minus 200px and minus 200px. We save this and execute. Now we are able to see it is moving. Here if you observe this, we are able to see that because we are using the minus properties. When we are going to use minus properties or negative values in the parameter section, it will behave opposite to the normal directions. For example, in the horizontal we can move to the right side. When we are going to use negative values, we can move to the left side. Similarly, when we are going to use positive values for the y-axis.
Excuse me, Hanuman sir.
Yes.
The screen is not visible to you all. Would you please reshare once again?
Yes. How much time it will be? From how much time the screen is like this?
Past 5 minutes, sir.
Past 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to reshare this. Uh, I think now it's visible. Is my screen visible now?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Past 7 minutes. Oh, I didn't observe the chart. Okay. So this is the code I used. Transform, and I used two properties. So first one is for x-axis and second one is for y-axis. So I used 200px. This is for x-axis and this is for y-axis. So when we are going to use positive axis or positive parameters, then it will move positively, something like right and down. So this is the x-axis, that is right side, and this is the bottom section, that is y-axis. When we are going to use minus, so we can move the directions opposite to the positive integers. So when we are going to use negative values, we can scroll up and we can scroll left side. So this is the difference. So if I observe the output, now this is the output. So when we are going to use the positive values, 200px, and I'm going to use 200px again for this. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now it is moving. If I remove this, I would like to remove the transform property. Now execute the program again. Now this is the normal position of an element. By using translate property, we can move the element from one position to another position. So here, let me use that. The property is transform and the value is translate. Translate, I'm going to use. The first one is x-axis. That means we can move horizontal way. I'm going to use 200px. So I would like to save this and execute the program in the browser. Now we are able to see the element is moving from left side to right side. That is 200px ratio. Very similar to this, I'm going to use 300px. That is y-axis. This is y-axis. And when we are going to use this, we can move the element to the bottom section. Save this and execute in the browser. We have to refresh. Now we are able to observe. Similarly, when we are going to use minus values, we can use the left and top sections. We save this and execute. Now the element is not available because that is moving to the top or direction. So I'm going to use 100px and refresh. Now we're able to see the element is available here. I'm going to use 100 for the x-axis also, that is horizontal direction. Now we are able to see. So if I change this to 50px and 50px for y-axis. Now save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see this. So this is how we are going to use translate property. This is how we are going to use translate property. Is that clear now, everyone? Is that the translate property is completed? Is that clear, everyone? Yes, clear. Difference of padding and margin. Difference of padding and margin. So padding is completely different, right? When we are going to apply space inside of the box, we have to use padding. And transform means we can directly moving an element. We are changing the location of an element. When we are going to apply margin, it applies some kind of space around an element. But here we are by using this translate property, we can move an element from one position to another positions based on the x-axis and y-axis. I hope it's clear now. So the next property. So the next property is rotate. So if you want to rotate the element, so here this is the element. If you want to rotate this, so we have to use rotate property. So I would like to use rotate property. So it is transform. I'm going to remove this. Rotate, and I'm going to use. So remember everyone, we have to use angle. How we are going to rotate an element? We have to use angle here. So for example, I'm going to use 30 degrees. Remember, we have to use deg for providing the digs. So this is degrees, 30 degrees, and save this and execute. So in the document, yes, this is rotated. Similarly, I'm going to use 300 degrees. 300 degrees. Now, yes, this is very similar. So because we are not able to observe the borders of it, so it's better to use the border radius. Border radius. I'm going to use border radius. So that is 10 px, 0 px, 10 px, and 0 px. So we are applying borders to the four sides of the element. So 10 px, 0 px, again 10 px, and again 0 px. And let me save this and execute in the browser. Now refresh. Yes, we used some kind of, it's clear now. We increase the margin, it is 3%, so that we can easily understand the elements. Clear. So it's time to use the 30 degrees. And I'm going to use 30 degrees. Now refresh. Now we're able to see. This is rotating clockwise direction. So if you want to rotate this in anti-clockwise direction, we have to use negative values. So we have to use minus 30 degrees, minus 40 degrees, and so on. So we rotated in anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Yes, kindly request you to share the screen. Understanding the code. Not understanding code. Oh, is now visible? Is my screen visible now? Yes. I would like to close all the unnecessary documents. Just closed it. This is our main document. We'll check the internet access from here. That means we can rotate an element. So if you want to rotate anti-clockwise direction, you have to use positive numbers or positive values. So I just applied the negative values. That means we can rotate anti-clockwise direction. This is all about the rotate property. So we have to use transform, that is rotate, and we have to use positive numbers and the negative numbers also. When we are going to use positive numbers, we can rotate the element in clockwise direction. When we are going to use negative values, we can rotate the element in anti-clockwise direction. This is the difference. Again, screen is not visible. I think your internet speed is low. Yeah, I'm getting proper internet access also. Let me recheck the internet speed. Yes, we are able to get enough internet speed, that is 9.3 Mbps. It's visible. The screen is not visible for YouTube users. Visible. So, is it clear to you all? So, we discussed rotate property. So, we discussed two kind of values. The first one is a positive value and second one is the negative value. So, for positive value, we can rotate an element in clockwise direction. When we are going to give the negative value, you can rotate the element in negative direction, that is anti-clockwise direction. Okay, it's visible now, and is it clear everyone? So we discussed two kinds of values for transform. The first one is translate and the second one is rotate. So in the translate, we have to use two kinds of parameters. The first one is for the horizontal direction and second one is for vertical direction. Similarly, we used rotate property. So in the rotate property, so we have to use two kinds of values, either positive value or a negative value. This is all about the rotate. And next one is, what is the next one? So we discussed, yes, next one is, I think, skew. So we have two positions, skew x and skew y. All right. So let me use skew. So that is transform property. Transform, and the method is skew. I'm going to use skew, that's it. Okay. So, and then we have to pass two parameters here. The first one is x and the second one is y direction. So I'm going to use 300px, 300px, and this is for the horizontal direction. This is for horizontal. So, and the next one is, yeah, this is angle, right? So we have to provide degrees. This is angle. So D is, all right. And the next one is 200 degrees. So we are skewing. That means we are applying these properties. That is 300 degrees and 200 degrees. Let me save this and execute. Now we are able to see skew means we can peel the element. So for example, it's better to apply the individual values. This is skew, and I'm going to use skew x. That means this is skewing in horizontal direction. All right. Now we are able to see this. And similarly, I'm going to use not 300 degrees. I'm just going to use 30 degrees. Now it's fine. We just skewing. And similarly, I'm going to use 90 degrees. 90 degrees means we are not able to see any kind of image or any kind of element. If we save this, now we are not able to see any kind of image because 90 element means if this is exact position, we are not able to see any kind of angle. Skewing means we are rotating in cubical manner. So when we are going to use 90 degrees, it is not possible to visit, or it is not possible to show an element by using 90 degrees. Similarly, when we are going to use 100 degrees, then the angle may changes. So then we can observe the element. This is. So we just skewing. And similarly, when we are going to use 180 degrees, 180 degrees, and yes, this is clear because it is just rotating. 180 means we have only that. And when we are going to use 300, once show the code. Once show the code. Yes, this is the code. So I'm going to apply the skew property. So skew, so I'm going to use 360 degrees now. So 360 degrees is not possible. If we recheck this, the element is remain same when we are going to use 360 degrees. So we can manipulate the element up to 180 degrees. Okay. So you can decrease the value to 170. Now it's fine. So that is skewing. So we just changing the values of it. We are just change the angles. So when we are going to use some kind of content in it, so that you can easily understand. Sample content. I just used sample content as a heading. Sample content, and say this and execute. Now we are able to see the sample content here. So we just applied the skewing. So similarly, I'm going to use 100 degrees. So this is very similar to 90 degrees. So when we are going to use 90 degrees, we are not able to see the image or element. So this is the 100 degrees. So one show the code again. I will show the code. And similarly, you can skew an element by using vertical direction. We can use Y. And let me save this and execute. Yes, done. Okay. I just changed this to skew Y. So I'm going to change the direction by using vertical. So let me refresh this document. Yes, this is vertical skewing. This is vertical skewing. So this is all about the skew property. So we have two properties in skew again. Those are skew X and skew Y. So is that clear, everyone? Is that clear, everyone? Yes. So we discussed the translate, rotate, and skew properties. For translate, we have to pass two parameters. The first one is X direction and the second one is Y direction. And translate is for moving an element from one location to another location. For that, we have to use two parameters. And similarly, rotate means we can rotate an element. If you want to rotate an element, you can use rotate function. Very similar to that, we discussed skew property. By using skew property, we can skew the element. So we have again two kinds of functions available in skew. Those are skew x and skew y. Skew x is skewing horizontally. Skew y is skewing, yes, vertically. So as of now, it's clear. So this is okay, but we have to do the practical exposure. So this is very theoretical. So you can search for this and you can get information from any kind of web document, something like websites. We have to do the practice. That is very, very important. So let me do the practical exposure. But before going to that, we have another pending concept, that is scale. So we have two more topics. Those are scale and matrix. So we have to discuss about the scale. So the coding part, yes, this is the coding part, and I'm going to use scale. So by using scale method, we can increase the width or height. So scale, yes, this is the scale, and we have to provide the integer values. So for example, so when I'm going to use 1, I just used 1. So we have to pass two parameters. The first one is x direction, second one is y direction. So yes, scaling, and I'm going to use this. Now we are able to see the content as it is. Similarly, when we are going to increase the width, so it increases the width of the particular element 2 times as the original element. So we can see this element like this. When we are going to refresh, yes, we are able to see the width. The width gets increased 2 times to the original width of an element. Similarly, when we are going to use 2 here, again save this and execute. Now we are able to see the height gets increased 2 times to the original element. Similarly, we can use scale x and scale y for applying individual values. For example, when we are going to use scale x, you can apply values to the width property. So for example, let me use 2. All right, and save this and execute. Now we are able to see the change in the width of this element. And similarly, I am going to use scale y property. There is that scale y, and I'm going to increase the height of the element, that is 2 times to that element. So yes, now refresh the document. Now we are able to see the width gets manipulated. Similarly, if you want to give negative values, for example, I'm going to use -1. Save this and execute. Yes, this is, so it's completely rotated. -1 means it changes the rotation. So it completely changed the rotation here. So if you observe this, the elements are displaying in reverse order. Similarly, when we are going to use 2 and save this and execute, now we are able to see the height gets increased 2 times to the reverse order. So when we are going to increase this, or when we are going to use negative values, it displays that information in reverse order. And similarly, if you want to use the half of the height, for that we have to use 0.5. So 1 is the normal height of the element, and when we are going to use 0.5, that is half part of the element. Refresh. Now we are able to see. Similarly, if you want to use y or x, so already we used y, and now I'm using x value. So that is scale x, that is 0.5. 0.5 means it's half part of the element. Yes. Now the width gets manipulated, changed here. So this is all about the scale element, or scale function. In normal scale function, we have to use 2 parameters. Those are x-axis x-axis and y-axis. So x-axis and y-axis. So for skew also we have to use two parameters. Those are x-axis and y-axis. So this is all about the scale property. Is that clear, everyone? The scale property. Scale property is for increasing the height or width. Yes, clear. So we discussed the translate, rotate, skew, and scale. Yes, clear. So most of the people are responded. It's clear. Yes. So similarly, if you observe this, we have two parameters for x-axis, and yes, we have two parameters for every element, every function except this rotate. So when we are going to use this metric function, we have to pass the parameters which are having two parameters in it. So that is translate, skew, and scale. And we have to follow the direction. So we need not to use any kind of rotate in the matrix because this is not having two parameters in it. So what are the values? What are the functions are having two parameters in this? We have to pass those parameters as the values for this matrix. So the direction is, first one is scaling. So we have to start with the scaling. So the direction is scale x. So everyone, remember this is very, very important. So when we are going to use scale x, we have to use skew function as a vertical direction. So we have to use skew y. Similarly, when we are going to use skew scale y, so that is scale y. So we have to use skew y and skew x instead of the scale function. So we have to use skew again, skew x. All right, and we have to use scale function, that is scale y. And finally, we have to use the two functions, that is translate x and translate y. Translate x and translate y. All right, so we have to follow the parameters positions like this. This is the syntax. So we have to use scale x, skew y. Remember everyone, we have to provide the skew positions in between the scale positions. And finally, we have to use the translates. So if we change the color of it, so we have to follow this scale x. So we have to use scale x and skew y, skew x, scale y, translate x, and translate y. There is available any project on HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS. We will do the project, don't worry. We will do the project. Okay. So if you observe this, we used the directions. So we discussed various kinds of properties for transform. And if you want to apply all the properties together, we have to use matrix. So we have to use matrix. So why we are not using rotate here? By using these functions, we can rotate the element. That is the reason we need not to use any kind of rotate again in the matrix. So this is all about the matrix and the 2D transform. Is that clear, everyone? Provide any templates. Yes, yes, I will try to provide them. uh, Provide any template. What kind of template you want, Durgavasu? Template means, okay, we will check it out and we will provide a template based on HTML and CSS. Okay, sure, sure. If you observe the Bootstrap template are okay, okay, definitely, definitely. So anyone for understanding. Okay, okay, sure. Or else we can do the real-time projects. Why not? We can do that, right? So when we're going to do a some kind of landing page or any kind of any other effects, so landing page or the portfolio, so any static websites, it's possible by using this HTML and CSS. So where we can apply the transforms also. But so when we are going to discuss about the JavaScript, we can provide some kind of events. Based on the events, we can rotate the image and we can so do the animations. But this is okay. We will discuss about this. So I hope you might be understand all the parameters of it. So is it clear, everyone? Is it clear, everyone? Now we discussed each and every property of transform. Clear. So I think this document is shareable to you. You can uh, check the documentation. Okay, but this is not the ending of this. So we have to discuss the translate once again. So translate is also important, right? So we have few more properties in translate. So yes, for example, it's clear. So we have few more elements. So this is half part of the 2D animations are completed, but we have to discuss a few more concepts in it. So what we will do? So I'm going to remove all the stuff. So we applied transform and all the stuff. So we have another position. I will explain that also. So remember, we have to use a few kinds of properties together. The first property is transition. That means we have to provide the specific time limit for that. So I'm going to use transition. Transition. So I'm going to use transition. So in that transition, we have to provide the time by using transform. So I'm going to use transform, and we have to provide the times starting with 1 second. I just used 1 second, and we can use 1 millisecond also. So it's better to start with the 1 second. And I'm going. We have two various kinds of effects. The first one is linear. The first one is linear transition. This is transition. We are just using uh, linear. So we have various kinds of. So please kindly share the lesson plan on chat box. Yes. Okay. Definitely. Definitely. let me change the settings. My voice is not audible. Now? It's audible. Yes. Is my screen visible to you now? Audible? Yes. It's visible. Okay, okay, okay. Sure. So this is the documentation. So what are you discussing? So yes, we are discussing the transition. So transition is having three parameters in it. We have to pass three parameters. The first one is transform. This is common. And we can change the time duration by using the seconds parameter. So we used 1 second. And similarly, the kind of effect we are applying, that is linear effect. So we have various kinds of effects. Similarly, let me save this and execute it once. So let me open the document once. Not able to see any kind of animations here. But we can apply multiple values. So transition, that's okay. So we are not able to see, or we are not able to observe any kind of effects by using only of this property, that is transition. We have to use a few more properties. So those are, the next one is transform origin. So transform origin, that means we have to represent the directions here. We can represent only two directions here. So for reference, I'm going to use bottom space top. That means we are using bottom and top parameters for moving the element from the bottom and top direction. Okay. Similarly, so not only bottom and top, we can apply the top, bottom, and something like top left, top right. You can use anything. So I just used bottom top. We have four directions: left, right, top, and bottom. So we can apply any of directions, but it accepts only two parameters. Alright. So, and it's better to use the transform property, and the corresponding value for this is rotate. So I'm going to use transform. And we have to use rotate as the value for this. So rotate, and we have to provide the angle, that is in degrees. So something like 20 degrees. I just used 20 degrees. me save this and refresh the page again. So we applied 1 second, that is linear effect, and I'm going to refresh this. Now we're able to see it is rotating. All right. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to apply the bottom and the property that is left. I just used left. Similarly, let me refresh. So this is not accepting any other parameters. It's better to change the degrees. I'm going to use 200 degrees. 200 degrees. And let me save this and execute in the browser. All right. Now we are able to see that is completely moving to the right direction. So we just used transition and transform origin. That's also fine. So we used bottom left. Yes, we used bottom left. That is the reason it existed to the left side. So let me use bottom right property. Bottom right. So that we can see the right side space. We can display that information in the right side by using this right property. Save this and execute in the browser. Out. Now it is rotating. Clear. And similarly, so each and every elements are clear now. So we used width property, and we used margin, height, and all the stuff. Yes. So each and everything is clear. Box shadow, that is also fine. When we used transform property, that is 1 second, and that's fine. And I'm going to, so we have different kinds of effects. The first one is linear, and let me use another effect, that is ease. So ease effect, it is one kind of effect for rotating. So let me refresh the page again. Yes, we are able to see the changes, but these elements are having some kind of curves. So let me remove the text in it and save this and execute in the browser once again. No. So there is a small mistake in the program. Transition, transform origin, and we used transform rotate also. Spelling error in line number 10, sir. It is transform nat. Okay. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you very much. So I'm checking what is happening because we can rotate an element by using these properties. So in 10th line, so we have to use transform. Okay. Line number 10. Yes. That is transform. Yes. Thank you, Manoj. That is transform. transfor. Yes. Now let me check the output in the browser. So where is the documents? Yes, this is the document. Yes. Now we can rotate the element. Thank you, Manoj. This is what I'm going to see. I'm going to show you. This is actually the output. This is a real-time example actually. So most of the cases we have to use like this. So thank you, Manoj, once again. And similarly, we can use different kinds of effects. For example, ease in. So we can increase the speed when we are going to click on refresh button. So let me check the output again. Yes. And similarly, if you observe that, so there is a small difference between the speed. It is starting with a small microseconds and ending with quickly. So similarly, we can apply the another property, that is ease out. So ease out, and let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see. So it started quickly, but it's going up very slowly, the animation. So I'm refreshing every time I'm going to see the effects. So very similar to this, when we are going here, if you observe this, we are using bottom and right. So when we are going to use top, right and right, or top and top, for example, I'm going to use two directions. So that is top and bottom. So these are two. These two are the vertical directions. I'm going to use bottom. So we have top and bottom, and let me check the output again. Yes, now we're able to see this is rotating. Similarly, if you want to decrease the time limitation, so you can provide the time, that is here we used 1 second, and you can mention 5 seconds. So that means this is the delay, timing delay. This is 5 seconds is timing delay. So we can observe that in the output. Let me show you the output. Just refresh. Now we're able to see. So this is rotating very slowly when comparing to the previous one. So this is how we're going to use the transform effects. Very similar to this, when we are going to rotate an image, for example, I'm going to download an image, that is spinner. So we have spinner, right? There is a spinner image. Let me download a spinner image. Yes, we have a spinner image here. So this is the spinner image, right? So I'm going to download this spinner image. I'm going to apply the animations for this. When we are going to apply some kind of animation properties, we can observe the rotate animation for the spinner. I'm going to download this. So save image, and I would like to save this image. Yes, in my project folder. My project is available in desktop, and project. I'm going to use the image name, that is 1.jpg. 1.jpg. I just saved that image with the name of 1.jpg. I used 1.jpg, that's it. So again, if you observe this, I'm going to apply this box class name for the image, not for the division. So I just want to remove this class name, and I'm going to apply to that image. So for example, I'm going to use image, and we have to provide the src. So the image is 1.jpg, right? 1.jpg, and we have to use alternative name, that is alt. We have to use alternate name for this. This is spinner. Very similar to this, we have to provide the class name. The class name is box. It's time to close that image. All right. So we just applied the class, the box class to the image. Now the image is spinner. So we just used 1.jpg as the image name here. All right. So now save this and execute in the browser. Yes. So this is our project. So yes, we are able to see the spinner, but it's better to remove the background color. We are able to see the background color still. So yes, in style.css, I'm going to remove the background color. So let me save this and execute. Now this is rotating. Again, we used the border property. That is the reason we are not able to observe that properly. Yes. So I would like to remove the border, and border radius, and box shadow also. So we have very few elements in this box. So those are transition. Transition is the combination of transform along with the effects as well as the timing delay. So transform origin, we can provide the origin. So I just used the top and bottom. So this is in the same direction, that is vertical direction. That is the reason we are able to see the element is not moving from the position. The element is rotating in the same position. So because we applied the vertical elements on. So save this and execute in the browser again. Yes, refresh. Now we are able to see this image is rotating. This image is rotating. So you can use a spinner as a preloader for your website. You can download a preloader. So there are a lot of images available in the online. So we can get any kind of preloaded image from that, and we can apply the animations to that directly. So I just used the spinner, and now we're able to see the spinner is rotating. So if you observe that, I would like to change this value to 1 second. So I used 5 seconds as a timing delay. So I'm going to apply 1 second for the time and execute this once again. Yes, this is rotating very quickly in comparing to the previous one. And similar to this, we used 200, right? So I'm going to use 2000. So 360 degrees means it rotates completely. It forms a circle. So when we're going to use 2000, that is more than 360. So it is the combination of nearly 6 times to the 360 degrees. So when we are going to use this, so let me check the output. What will be happening? So I just used this. Yes, it is rotating very quickly. If you observe this here, we are rotating this. Clear? So very similar to this, I'm going to use 5 seconds. 5 seconds as the timing delay, and save this and execute in the browser. Yes, it is rotating. So this is all about the 2D transformations and transitions. So today there should be JS class, sir. Okay. Yes, but we discussed lot of topics which are not available in your syllabus also. We discussed the grid system, and if you observe the syllabus, we have 2D transform only. So we have to discuss each and every topic in depth. So that is the reason I discussed these concepts also. How we are going to apply the transition, the timing delay and effects. So we have various kinds of effects available. So we discussed the effects also. So we have few kinds of effects for the transition. So those are linear, ease in and ease out. Similarly, we have transform origins. We have few kinds of transform origins. Those are top bottom, bottom, top left, right bottom, and all the stuff, right? So we can provide the rotation angle also. So from when onwards we are going to start the JavaScript? You are so much of interested to join in the session of JavaScript, right? So I would like to wind up the session by starting with the JavaScript concepts. Is that okay for you? So this is all about the CSS concepts. We completed all the concepts of CSS which we have provided in the syllabus sheet. So remember everyone, for running JavaScript programs, we need not use any kind of IDEs or any running environments. We can use the browser directly. So here, this is the browser. This is the Google browser. This is the Chrome browser. So you can right click on anywhere and you can click on inspect. Here you can see the console option. From here you can execute the JavaScript programs. So this is the console. So you can observe the console window is available here. So from here you can execute the JavaScript programs, the JavaScript modules. So first of all, Yes, I would like to declare a variable. So for declaring a variable, so we have to use var keyword. I will discuss the history and all the stuff the uh, tomorrow session. So this is for reference. I'm just going to start the JavaScript concepts for today. That is the reason I'm going to declare a variable. So I'm going to use var keyword along with variable. So here a is the variable and var is the keyword. If you want to declare any kind of variable, we have to use this keyword along with the variable name. So here var is the keyword and a is the variable name, and we have to assign a value for this. So I'm going to use assignment symbol, and I'm going to use 9 as the value. So here this is the syntax where a equals to 9. Var is the keyword, a is the variable name, and 9 is the value. So now tell me what kind of data it is. What kind of data it is? Anyone? Yes, this is integer kind of data. So most of the people have responded that this is integer kind of data. So remember, we don't have any kind of integers, floating points, or any other stuff. So all the number format of data are considered as a number. So when we are going to check the output, so for example, if you want to check the type of the variable, so we have to use type of function. This is the predefined function in JavaScript. So we have to use type of function. So type of, and we have to provide the variable name. The variable name is a. So we don't have any kind of specific data types like integers, float, double. So all the number kind of data are considered as a number. So when we are going to execute this, for execution we have to press enter. When we are going to type the element or type the statement in the new line, we have to use shift plus enter. See here we are going to execute the program. That is the reason we are going to use enter key. Now this is a number kind of data. This is a number kind of data. Very similar to this, I am going to use var s equals to some kind of string. So I am going to use hello and semicolon. So again I am going to use type of. So type of, and I am going to use s. So this is already we know. So this is a string kind of data. So this is a string. This is a number and this is a string. So when we are going to use a floating point number, for example, where b equals to, so 1.5. This is a floating number, right? So when we are going to check the type of this, so this is also returns the number as the output. So let me use the type of function, type of, and we have to provide the variable name as the parameter here. And just execute this. Now we are able to see same kind of output as number. So this is all about the variable declarations. We have to declare the variable like this. We have to use the var keyword. We have to provide the variable name. And similarly, we have to assign a value for that. So the remaining part will be continued from tomorrow. Because the time is already 6 o'clock now, 6:30 now. Is that clear, everyone? The concepts of CSS and the introduction of JavaScript. Yes. So if you are having any kind of doubts, you can contact us. We provided already. We provided the official mail ID already, so you can communicate with us. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Yes, clear. Durga Vasi is also responded. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. If you have any queries, would you please let us know. We will clarify your doubts. And don't feel shy to ask any doubts, any kind of subject related doubts. Is it clear? We are already shared the document, Divya. Amarnath, we will inform you soon regarding certification. There is exam is there or not? Yeah, thank you all. I will wind up the session because the time is 6:35. Thank you, everyone. And, Divya, Hanuman sir already shared one more time the document. Would you please find here? Yeah, thank you all.